Hi everyone, welcome to Tidbit Tuesday. Today we have 5 tips for creativity. As a digital marketer, you're in a bit of an opposition as you often have to use the analytical and creative side of your brain. And when it comes to actually cranking out those creative ideas, you really can't force it. It's kind of like trying to relax when you can't fall asleep. So I've talked to our design team to see what their suggestions are in terms of actually fostering an environment and perspective that really helps generate those creative ideas. So the first item on the list is to actually find a new environment. Sitting at the same desk with the same sights and sounds, that's really going to enforce similar patterns of thinking. So grabbing your necessities and finding a new space, whether that's a coffee shop, a library, or even if a different spot within your own office, that's really going to help promote new ways of thinking. And if that's not possible, that's totally okay. Just think of smaller ways that you can change it up. Maybe that's adjusting your lighting or even just listening to music. Studies have actually found that listening to sounds, kind of like that ambient noise, that chatter background sound you would hear in a coffee shop, actually helps promote broader ways of thinking. Number 2 on our list, in with the bad. So when we're starting a creative thinking process, it's really easy to kind of feel like all the ideas that you throw out there need to be really good and feasible, but that can be a hindrance to actually thinking of those ideas. So initially when you're brainstorming, think as big and as bold as possible, even if it's unrealistic. And don't focus on whether it's good or bad, because even bad ideas can help us see things from a new perspective and really analyze, why wouldn't this work? Are there aspects of this that are actually really great? So taking that pressure away to have all good ideas is really going to open up your mind and make it a lot easier to generate those creative ideas. Number 3 on our list is to connect what already exists. So a big part of marketing and creative thinking is really looking at what's already out there and creating connections. So one of our suggestions from the design team is to even just look at marketing ideas as inspiration from other companies, even if they're not in your industry, and then deconstruct the different elements of those, those ideas, those campaigns, whatever it might be, and figure out how those different elements are something that you can work into your own, your own activities, your own projects, your own campaigns. And in terms of the actual inspiration, it might be easy to kind of do one big sweep where one day you go out and you look up all these different cool ideas and you just keep going back to the same thing every time. But it's also important to make sure that you kind of just, as you see things, you write them down, you take note of them, because in that way you always have a fresh list of inspirational ideas that you can look at. Number 4 on the list is find your tired brain. Whenever our brains are tired, you've probably noticed that it's really hard to focus on one specific idea. Our thoughts wander. It's hard to filter out distractions. And when you're further along within the creative process, that could be a problem. But during the initial brainstorming, that could actually be really helpful. So if let's say in the mornings, you like to just check things off your to-do list, you're really good about looking at each item one by one, that could actually be a hindrance to thinking of brand new ideas. So you might know after lunch, if you're kind of in that fog and it's harder for you to focus on your, very specific tasks, that could be a really good time to just do that really open brainstorming session where you think of those big and bold and even unrealistic items that we talked about earlier. And then the 5th item, meditation. So there's lots of different forms of meditation, but one approach is to actually just sit and be aware of the contents of your mind. So there's no judgment on good thoughts, good ideas, bad ideas. You just watch, you let it happen. And taking that pressure away to think about a specific thing, to have good ideas. Even if during the meditation, don't feel like that's the time to think of the ideas. That's just the time to let your brain open up, be less judgmental, and that will really help foster that mindset you need to do your creative thinking. Those were our 5 ideas for helping foster creativity. If you try any of these, let us know. I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you next week for our next Tidbit Tuesday.